Hello students and welcome back to the classroom. Tim here from Lessons on the Web once again today. And today I have a special exercise I designed specifically to vastly improve your left-hand piano playing. So let's get right on to it. So right here is our exercise. This exercise tackles, like I said, left-hand playing, so it really has a lot more notes going on in the left hand, and it really tackles basically the 5-finger hand position. So anytime you hear about playing in like C position or F position or G position, basically where the leftmost note is the name of the position you're on. So if it's C, you're in C position. So it's basically in that position, and you're basically going to be playing notes up and down in that position. You're also going to be skipping notes in that position. So that's how this little practice exercise starts. It only starts out in that one position, but it doesn't stay that way. Let me show you where it changes. So you notice on the second line here, I have the finger numbers written in here. So you have this in the third measure. If you notice, you have C, E, G, C, where you have the red numbers there. So just keep in mind that that is what we call an extended position, where basically you are moving, a portion of your hand up there to hit that C, that arpeggio. So just make sure to follow the correct fingering, and I think you'll do just perfect. Okay, so no need to talk about the right hand, since the right hand is just a C major chord, but you have, like I said, you're in the 5-finger position. So in the left hand, you're just playing the notes in your left hand. Notice the pattern, like I said, mostly steps up at first, and then it has you skip notes, in between here. You have notes you're skipping in between, and then you double time that with 8th notes, and then you walk up and down the 5-finger position. So that's what's going on for this first line. I suggest you tackle this line by line until you have all of them, fairly mastered. You can at least play through them fairly smoothly. So here we go with line 2. You have more of this pattern with your left hand of this arpeggio, right? Arpeggio meaning instead of playing the chord by itself, you're playing the notes individually. So you have that kind of thing, and then you have this stepping up and down in the 5-finger position. Stepping, by the way, is just moving note to note, one note to the next note. And then you have this arpeggio I talked about a second ago. And then you double time it. It's the same notes, just with 8th notes for that last measure. And then you just kind of switch up the pattern right there. So like I said, the main goal of this whole exercise is to get you used to playing, within these 5 notes, but then also changing hand position to be able to hit that arpeggiated pattern. Now, why does this exercise do this? Because this happens a lot in music, where you're playing different patterns, then all of a sudden you have to play some sort of arpeggio in your left hand. So this happens quite a bit. Okay, the next line. Oh, by the way, there are chords that go along with this. You probably want to learn the left hand first, by the way, and then try to see if you can add in the chords. And then on to the next line. Whoops. And then here, I give you the fingering here. Same kind of, it's just a reverse arpeggio, going from G to E to C. And then you have the stepping pattern here for the third measure here. And then as you can see, it changes. You're still hitting the same 3 notes. You're basically just changing the pattern here for the last measure. We're talking about this measure right here. So you have C, G, E, G, C, G, E, G. So just careful that it changes up the pattern a little bit there. And then for the final line here, we have some stepping motion going down here in the first measure right here. And then you have the arpeggio again. So use the same fingering as I gave you before. Then you do the arpeggio again. Like that. So like I said, learn the left hand first, be able to play through the left hand slow, and then add in the chords. If you feel like when you're adding in the chords, it's too much for you, it means you have to slow it down or break it back down into the left hand. And then remember, the main goals of this exercise are to be able to play in a standard hand position, just stepping notes up or skipping every other note, that kind of thing, as an arpeggio, but also changing hand position slightly to play in a more open, extended position. So those are the two main goals of this. So now say that I've learned this, I've learned all the notes, then what should you do? Well, maybe try to get it a little faster. You want to be able to play it as fast as possible with still retaining the quality or the accuracy. So if you feel like your notes are, shifted off, or you're hitting the wrong notes, it means you have to slow it back down and you need to break it up in easier pieces. But once you feel like you get a handle on it, see if you can play the entire thing. It's hard to do while talking. I don't recommend talking. But see if you can play through the entire thing, at a steady tempo without stopping. Had a little trouble there at the end, so I'd play that next to last measure again until I got it. So if I fared pretty well with that, if I didn't, I'd play it again at a slower tempo, but since I did well with that, I can speed it up a little bit more. Slow down there at the end if you would like. As you play it faster, you'll notice it does start to get a little more difficult, and it really does work out your left hand playing in that position. Now, what should you do if you want an extra challenge? Say you learn this really easy and you blow right through it. Well, try playing the exact same pattern transposed to G. Well, how do you do that? Well, basically, instead of being in C position, with C being your leftmost note, you go to G and play G position, with G being your leftmost note, and then you play the pattern. It's the same finger pattern as before, where you're stepping up here. You're just doing it over G. D. Keep in mind that after G's not a problem because any of the sharps, which is just F sharp in the key of G, doesn't fall in any of the first 5 notes, so you don't have to worry about any sharps or flats. However, when you do D, the next one with 2 sharps, the next key that I recommend, there's a sharp in the middle there, so you got to be careful. And then you have to be careful if you do it in the key of A, which I also recommend for a little extra challenge, is that you have a sharp in the middle of the chord again, just because there's 3 sharps in the key of A, F, C, and G, and C is one of them. I have a great lesson on key signatures and the circle of fifths and things like that. I highly suggest you check it out. I'll put something in the description for you so you know how to find that lesson once it's posted. If you enjoyed this lesson about left-hand piano playing, you really need to check out my lesson on playing tips and exercises for both hands piano playing. So if you've had experience playing with your right hand and then playing with your left hand, you're looking to put them together, which we're all kind of working towards, I highly suggest you check out that lesson next. It's going to be right here you can click on, and if you don't see that, you can find the link in the description. So thanks a lot, and have an awesome day.